The first speaker is Lessie Skiba. She is the Global Director of Outreach and Partner Engagement at the Cyber Readiness Institute. In this position, she leads initiatives to educate SMEs, small and medium enterprises, on cybersecurity basics, which is, as you might know, very well aligned with what we're trying to do at CyberAgent. The topic of her presentation is Women in Cyber, navigating the challenges of cyber readiness. And she will discuss some of the unique challenges that women face in cybersecurity, as well as the opportunities, and why it is so important to have diverse backgrounds, perspectives, and diversity within the field.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And I am just so overwhelmed by the number of participants on this panel or this webinar. So thank you everyone who has decided to join today. As Saskia mentioned, I am going to cover a little bit about the Cyber Readiness Institute. What is cyber readiness? The challenges women face in cybersecurity, some challenges in general with cybersecurity and workforce, as well as some opportunities that women specifically can bring to the cybersecurity industry. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So I am really excited to tell you a little bit more about the Cyber Readiness Institute as a whole. So we are a nonprofit organization, and we were founded in 2017 under the Obama administration. And there was a commission that was included private and public sector that was meant to address cybersecurity gaps within the United States. One of those gaps that was identified was the lack of resources for small and medium-sized businesses. So some of the industry leaders that participated in that private-public commission decided to form the Cyber Readiness Institute to address that gap. And the idea was that they were going to address that gap by providing free and accessible resources for small and medium-sized businesses to secure global supply chains. So where we are a US-based nonprofit, we have a very global focus. And our member companies that you can see on the screen here, MasterCard, T-Mobile, Center for Global Enterprise, Apple, and Microsoft are all really committed to this mission. Some of our founding members are ExxonMobil, General Motors, and Principal Financial. They are still committed to the Cyber Readiness Institute mission, and they support us in a number of projects outside of just our standard flagship program, which I'll talk about shortly. So this is just a high-level overview of where the Cyber Readiness Institute has reached. So anything that is in yellow that is shown here is where our program has been used, and anywhere that is in green is where I have physically gone or done a webinar with a specific region. And I would say a majority of the green places I have physically gone. I don't think I mentioned my title before, but I am the Global Director of Outreach and Partner Engagement for the Cyber Readiness Institute. And just to give you a little bit of my background, I have been in the cybersecurity world space for about the past 10 years. And I have had a number of different roles that may not be traditional cybersecurity roles that you might think, but still really critical. And that's part of what we'll talk about as we're going through these next 15, 20 minutes. So where I'm talking about some of the general cybersecurity and cyber readiness initiatives that the Cyber Readiness Institute has, there are also aspects where I'll highlight where women are really strong, specifically in, I know that Renata mentioned before, the instructors and training staff. That is where I really see women succeed. There are also a lot of other places where women succeed as well, but those are a couple places where I have seen personal success in getting involved in cybersecurity. So I'd like to just address the question. We've talked a little bit about cybersecurity, but what is cyber readiness? That is what our institute is focused on. Cyber readiness is taking practical steps to prevent cyber attacks by focusing on human behavior related to 4 core issues and knowing what to do if and when an incident occurs. The goal is to create a culture of cyber readiness in your organization, and the cyber ready culture is a shared responsibility as a whole. So I mentioned those core 4 issues: passwords, software updates, phishing, secure storage, and file sharing. The CRI approach is to address the human behavior aspect of cybersecurity. And so often people don't think about this aspect. They just think it's all IT, and those are the people that need to be driving changes. They're the ones that are responsible for protecting an organization. But in reality, there is so much more that can be done on top of the technology. And I think this is where a lot of people in general, but women generally succeed in changing cultures, right? We are really comfortable understanding, we bring a different perspective to office environments. In environments where it's really male dominated, a woman can come in and potentially, like, I don't want to say soften certain aspects of culture, but we have a better judge of interpersonal skills generally. And again, this is all general, but I think that this is where women can really succeed, is driving the culture of cybersecurity. So some of the challenges women face in cybersecurity as a whole. These stats are from both the ISC Squared 2023 Cybersecurity Workforce Study as well as Tech Republic. So 26% of the global cybersecurity workforce is made up of women, which is not a lot. And then 26% of cybersecurity professionals under 30 are women, which is not surprising given the first stat. But it's not all bad, because women report fewer staffing shortages in cybersecurity roles, which means that generally when women get into roles, they tend to stay there, which for whatever reason that is, whether they are more committed to their specific role, they're not interested in changing roles. There could be a number of reasons for this. But in general, there is clearly a disparity in gender when it comes to cybersecurity workforce. So I mentioned before that I think women have a really strong opportunity, specifically in the culture changing aspect of companies. The Cyber Readiness Institute focuses on developing cyber leaders within SMBs or SMEs to drive changes within an organization. I have worked with hundreds of companies up to this point and have had cyber leaders that are both men and women. They both present great qualities. And I just think that it's important to highlight that it doesn't have to be a man with a strong personality, strong IT background in order to succeed as a cyber leader. So while we're talking about a cyber leader, what is that in the Cyber Readiness Institute context? A cyber leader is an individual within an organization who is really meant to lead the development of a cyber ready culture. They work with everyone within an organization to implement practical policies, promote best cyber practices, and just generally cyber ready behavior across an organization. Their primary role or roles, and I think it's important to highlight that a cyber leader is not just doing this job. They generally have another job that they're doing within their organization on top of becoming a cyber leader. So their whole goal is to promote cybersecurity awareness, influence behavior, and really just make sure everyone within the company understands their responsibility when it comes to cybersecurity. So I mentioned before that we have these core 4 issues, and that the Cyber Readiness Institute has free and accessible resources. One of our flagship resources is our Cyber Readiness program that is, again, totally free to access. I'll have a link for that at the end. But through that, we encourage one cyber leader within an organization to go through that online program. With the hundreds of companies that I've worked with, the cyber leaders can have a number of different roles. Often I see HR positions because they are able to get everyone in the same room and train their company because they just know everyone. Another position that I've seen, especially in instances where there are maybe language barriers and the Cyber Readiness Institute program is not in their language, is that a salesperson who is really comfortable talking about different things, convincing people of different things. They are often very great cyber leaders as well. So there's just a number of different roles that cyber leaders can have for their day-to-day job, but can still succeed as a cyber leader. So again, this is a little bit repetitive, and in the sake of time, or for the sake of time, I am not going to spend a lot of time on it. But I would also like to highlight the fact that the Cyber Readiness Institute's program is translated into Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian. So if you're interested in using our program to help drive changes within any of your businesses that you're currently at, please take advantage of it because, again, it's free. And I think that a lot of people on this call could probably take advantage of these programs and get that first step into cybersecurity, cyber readiness. And the cyber readiness program as a whole is meant to drive change, but it is meant as a stepping stone to more sophisticated cybersecurity trainings. So if you're not yet in some sort of program that is giving you additional skills for cybersecurity, then definitely take some time to go through this program. It's fundamental. Our whole goal is to demystify cybersecurity. But in general, I think that it's really important that people just take that first step. And again, women have such an advantage because we're often available. Things have changed with remote workforces as well. We're able to do different things, be able to work from home. If people have families, cybersecurity in general, I think, is a pretty flexible field. So with that, I will pause and see if there are any questions.
There's a question in the chat from Veronica. She says, how long does it take to finish the program?
So the program itself is a self-paced online program, and we like to say take 2 to 3 weeks to get through the entire program. But as far as actual online content sitting in front of the computer, maybe 3.5 hours. And the reason we say take 2 weeks is because we want you to be going through and implementing different plans, taking the playbook and downloading it, just to give you a bit of an idea of what is included in that program. It covers policies around those core 4 issues that I mentioned: passwords, software updates, phishing, and secure file storage and transfer. So we talk about that, and then we also give you templates for all of those policies, as well as an incident response plan. So all of this is ready for you to take into your organization if it's not already existing. And I mentioned before that our program is focused on small and medium-sized enterprises. So we know that time is really a really big limiting resource, financial as well. That's why everything that is included in this does not require a significant or any financial investment, but then it is meant to be a pretty quick program to go through and give you quick wins that have been developed by a number of our member companies that I mentioned before, as well as other cybersecurity experts.
There's one question in the chat. Ksenia asks whether the cyber leader course exists in the European Union. But especially in France, she asks.
So we do not actually have the program translated into French, but you can access the Cyber Readiness program from anywhere. That is actually something. So we do translate our program when we have a partner that is interested in driving use to the program. And French has been on our roadmap, so I'll make a note of that. Both French and Mandarin Chinese are two that come up pretty regularly, especially with a lot of the work that I do with our suppliers of member companies that are based in China. So we are always looking for more reasons to translate our program into other languages. We regularly update our content as well on the Cyber Readiness Institute program and our website. And if we have, let's say there was some large cyber event, we make sure we post a guide or something, even if we don't completely revamp our online self-paced program.
Thank you very much, Lessie, for the presentation and resources. We'll make sure to share them afterwards with our audience and community. And looking forward to working with you in the future.